Imagine you having a lovely family and a beautiful house. Suddenly, two people break into your house, not only to steal your money, but also to kill your family and burn down your house. Can you imagine that? This is exactly what happened to Dr. Pettit. Today, I am telling you the 7 most horrific true crime cases you should never web search. Please leave a like and subscribe to see more true crime videos. Also leave a comment and tell us your opinion. The Cheshire Family Murders. A tragic incident. The Cheshire Family Murders refer to a tragic and horrific crime that took place in Cheshire, Connecticut on July 23, 2007. The Petty family consisted of Dr. William Petty, his wife Jennifer Hawk Petty, and their 2 daughters Haley and Michaela. They were a well-loved family in their community. The break-in. On the night of July 22, 2007, 2 men, Stephen Hayes and Joshua Komisarjevsky, broke into the Pettit family home. They planned to rob the house but ended up committing much worse crimes. They found Dr. Pettit sleeping on the couch and severely beat him, leaving him tied up in the basement. The next morning, Hayes forced Jennifer to go to the bank and withdraw money while her family was held hostage. Jennifer managed to alert the bank teller about the situation, who then contacted the police. However, the police did not intervene immediately, hoping to handle the situation quietly to avoid any harm to the family. Unfortunately, the situation escalated. Back at the house, the 2 men S*X assaulted Jennifer and Michaela. They then tied Jennifer and the girls to their beds and set the house on fire. Jennifer and her daughters were unable to escape and died from the fire and smoke inhalation. Dr. Pettit, though badly injured, managed to escape to a neighbor's house to get help. Hayes and Komisarjevsky were caught by the police as they tried to flee the scene. Both men were later convicted of multiple charges, including murder, S*X assault, and arson. They were sentenced to death, though Connecticut later abolished the death penalty, and their sentences were converted to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The Cheshire Family Murders shocked the nation and led to changes in Connecticut's laws, including tougher measures for violent criminals and better protection for crime victims. Dr. William Pettit survived and later founded the Pettit Family Foundation to honor his family's memory and support causes related to violence prevention and education.
Armin Meiwes was a computer repair technician who grew up in a large mansion in the small town of Wüstefeld, Germany. His father left the family when Meiwes was 8, leaving him with his overbearing mother. This environment contributed to his feelings of loneliness and isolation. As a result, Meiwes developed a fascination with cannibalism and the idea of consuming another person to achieve a sense of closeness and connection. By 2000, Meiwes had taken his fantasies online. He frequented internet forums dedicated to cannibalism, where he posted advertisements looking for a willing volunteer. In one such post, he described his desire to find someone who would allow him to kill and eat them. Bernd Jürgen Brandes, a 43-year-old engineer from Berlin, responded to Meiwes' advertisement. Brandes shared similar fantasies and was willing to be killed and eaten. After extensive online communication, they arranged to meet at Meiwes' home in Rothenburg. On March 9, 2001, Brandes arrived at Meiwes' home. The 2 men began to enact their plan. They videotaped the entire event, ensuring everything was consensual. Initially, Brandes consented to having his penis amputated and consumed. Meiwes attempted to bite off Brandes' penis, but was unsuccessful and ultimately used a knife. They then attempted to eat the severed penis together, but it was too tough, so Meiwes cooked it. Brandes quickly lost a significant amount of blood. He was placed in a warm bath to help ease his pain and then moved to a bedroom. Over the next few hours, Brandes drifted in and out of consciousness due to blood loss. Eventually, after several hours, Maywes killed Brandes by stabbing him in the throat. Maywes then proceeded to butcher Brandes's body, storing parts of it in his freezer for later consumption. He consumed approximately 44 pounds of Brandes's flesh over the following months. In December 2002, a young Austrian student saw new advertisements posted by Maywes looking for another victim and reported them to the authorities. This led to a police investigation. When police raided Maywes' home, they found the videotape documenting the crime, as well as frozen body parts and other evidence of cannibalism. Maywes was arrested and charged with murder. Maywes was initially tried for manslaughter. The defense argued that the act was consensual and therefore did not constitute murder. The court agreed to some extent, and Maywes was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for manslaughter and disturbing the peace of the dead. The prosecution appealed the verdict, seeking a harsher sentence. During the retrial, the court determined that Maywes had killed for sexual gratification, making it a murder under German law. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Experts analyzed Maywes' mental state and concluded that his actions were driven by deep-seated psychological issues stemming from his childhood and his profound sense of loneliness. Cannibalism was seen as a way for him to achieve a permanent bond with another person. Josef Mengele, often referred to as the Angel of Death, was a Nazi doctor who conducted inhumane medical experiments at the Auschwitz concentration camp during World War II. Josef Mengele, born on March 16, 1911, in Günzburg, Germany, Mengele was a physician and anthropologist. He joined the Nazi Party and the SS in 1937. In 1943, he was assigned to Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest Nazi concentration and extermination camp. The experiments. Mengele is notorious for his brutal and pseudoscientific experiments on prisoners, particularly on twins, dwarfs, and individuals with physical abnormalities. His work was driven by the Nazi ideology of racial purity and the desire to advance Nazi medical science. The experiments were conducted without consent and often resulted in death, disfigurement, or permanent disability. Twin experiments. Mengele aimed to understand how genetic inheritance worked by studying twins. He believed this knowledge could help increase the Aryan population by allowing families to have more children. Twins were selected and subjected to various procedures, including blood transfusions between twins, surgeries without anesthesia, and injections of chemicals into their eyes to change their eye color. Twins were often killed simultaneously to allow for post-mortem comparisons. Most twins died either during the experiments or shortly after. Those who survived were often left with severe injuries or disabilities. Experiments on dwarfs and people with physical abnormalities. Mengele was interested in genetic traits and sought to understand how physical abnormalities were inherited. He conducted similar brutal experiments on dwarves and people with deformities, including invasive surgeries, forced sterilizations, and the extraction of organs and tissues for study. The victims often endured extreme pain, suffering, and death as a result of these experiments. Other medical atrocities. Mengele infected prisoners with diseases such as typhus and tuberculosis to study their effects. He also tested various drugs and chemicals on prisoners, often with lethal outcomes. He also attempted to find efficient ways to sterilize people deemed unfit to reproduce, which included injecting substances into reproductive organs and performing surgeries without anesthesia. Mengele's experiments were part of the broader Nazi agenda of eugenics and racial purity. The Nazis believed in creating a master race and sought to eliminate those they considered genetically inferior. After the war, Mengele fled to South America to avoid capture and prosecution. Despite being one of the most wanted Nazi war criminals, he evaded justice and lived in hiding until his death in 1979.